Thank you. I hope you're enjoying the conference so far. Let's start off. Okay, just a brief overview to start off here. So we've got multiple highly prospective exploration projects in Tier 1 mining jurisdictions. We'll leverage to copper and gold. They're the two things we're exploring for at the moment, and both of those obviously have had good price performance over the last 12 to 18 months, with copper in particular obviously being on a real tear at the moment. We've got a good expert board and management team here with relevant experience in exploration through to development and bringing assets into production. We've got initial exploration programs underway at our copper project in New South Wales, and our gold project in Mexico is drill ready pending permitting, and I'm expecting to have that permit in hand quite shortly. We've also got quite an attractive company valuation. Depending upon where the shares have been trading recently, the market cap has been in the range of around about sort of 12 to 14 million. We've got 3 million cash on hand there, so we're funded. We don't need to raise money at the moment. We're funded to do our exploration programs. We've got a modest market cap, and we've got a number of potentially catalyst events coming up with exploration works, both commenced and ongoing, and to commence soon on the Mexican project. Just the board there, I won't go through it in detail, but as you can see, a lot of experience there, and again, just mentioning again, through exploration, development, and ultimately bringing projects into production successfully. Just a snapshot of the company there, which I've already gone over. The share price has been trading in a range sort of 1.9 cents to the low twos, giving this market cap there of 12 to 40 million dollars. And as I said, cash in the bank at the end of Q1, $3 million. We are funded to do the exploration work that we're planning to commence, including the drilling in Mexico. Looking now at our copper projects, we have our copper projects are all in Australia. We have a project in New South Wales, the Barraba Copper Project, and we've also recently entered into an option agreement to acquire a package of licences in the Northern Territory, the Unagalabi Project, Paradise Well and Silver Valley projects. We've been working through the DD on that option agreement at the moment, and I would expect there to be a favourable outcome there and a transaction occurring, which would see us become the owners of those projects. Looking now in more detail at the Barraba Copper Project in New South Wales, there's been historical mining on this project. It has 3 known VMS deposits, which incorporates the historical Gulf Creek mine, which mined around the late 1800s into the early 1900s. Multiple lodes there grading 2 to 6%, but an average grade of 5% copper. And now zinc was also occurring with the copper at around about 1 to 1.5 times the copper grades. It wasn't payable back in the day that this mine was operating, but certainly it would provide a very handsome credit to the economic value of the copper in this deposit in today's markets. The Murchison mine was also mined, averaging 3% copper, and that's actually an area of focus for us for exploration at the moment. The deposit is open, this being the deposit at Gulf Creek, is open at depth and along strike, giving us attractive options there for drilling. The drilling at Gulf Creek, we will plan to go in and drill below the known historical workings at the moment to confirm those grades, and then subsequently follow up with extensions at depth and along strike. We've done assays of mine dump material from Murchison mine this year, and we've also done soil geochems. The soil geochems showed anomalous high levels of copper, zinc and, interestingly, cobalt. And the assays of the mine dump material also confirmed the grades that we saw there in the Murchison mine, being an average of 3%. We've just completed our initial airborne geophysics program, and those results are being interpreted at the moment. I'd expect to have an announcement on that coming out in the near future. Following up from that, we'll then be planning surface geophysics with the aim of delineating drill targets. Looking at Paradise Well in the Northern Territory, this project's earlier stage, so what it's had at the moment is it's had some rock chip sampling and some soil geochems, and produced good grades of copper, very attractive grades of copper there, up to around about 9%, and also gold occurring with the copper as well, up to 2 grams a tonne. Our plan would be to, once we execute this agreement, if we do so successfully, would be to get up there on the ground and commence sort of a first principles exploration program following on from the work that's being done at the moment. It's located proximate to Alice Springs, so fairly easy to access, and it's on pastoral land with good access, no native title obstacles as well, so it'll be easy for us to get on the ground there at the moment and move that project forward rather rapidly. A second project in the Northern Territory that I'll talk about today is the Unagalabi Copper Zinc Lead project. This project has been explored in the past, including drilling. They drilled over 20 holes, with most of those being RC holes, but a number of diamond holes as well. The best intersection out of all of the drilling work that was conducted was 36.5 metres at 1% copper, 1.7% zinc, so quite a wide intersection there. That is in the secondary mineralisation, that's the oxides near surface. That hole is in fact right near surface. They haven't located the primary mineralisation yet, the sulphides, and that would be a focus of an exploration program for us up there, would be to follow up on the drilling that's been done to date. There also hasn't been much in the way of modern geophysics done there as well, so we'd also utilise that as a tool to assist us in planning drill holes to hopefully identify that primary mineralisation. It's in the same geological setting up here as the Javoy or Javois, I'm not actually sure how they pronounce it, copper deposit of KGL Resources. Now that has a resource of 21 million tonnes at 2% copper, and for contained copper of in excess of 400,000 tonnes. So it's certainly a very prospective area to be exploring for large-scale copper deposits. What we'll be doing, as I said, is we'll be following up on all the works done in the past and moving forward to plan new drilling works there with the idea, with the aim of identifying that primary sulphide mineralisation in this system. Our gold project, the Santa Teresa Gold Project, is located in Baja, California in Mexico, which is on the west coast of Mexico. This project is actually around about 250 kilometres from San Diego, so access to it is quite easy through US airports and then just drive across the border. We're basing ourselves at the moment, our team over there, out of Ensenada in Baja, California, and that's only 100 kilometres from the project along mainly sealed roads. There's just about 10 kilometres of dirt roads to the project site. This has also had historical drilling on it, and currently has a JORC resource of 89,000 ounces, which is it's a nuggety gold deposit, and so the resource was capped on a load-by-load basis with a top cap and a cut-off grade of 2.5 grams a tonne, the average grade of that resource being 7.5 grams a tonne. Now, if you increase that top cap to 50 grams a tonne, which is not unreasonable for these nuggety style quartz vein deposits, the resource increases to 119,000 ounces and completely uncapped 174,000 ounces. The historical drilling has drilled some sort of eye-watering grades here actually, mineralisation up to 958 grams a tonne, which is in excess of 30 ounces a tonne, so the deposit is very high grade in certain areas. We've also got multiple drill results coming in assaying over 30 grams a tonne, or essentially an ounce a tonne. The deposit's open along strike down to the southwest, southeast I should say, and it's also open at depth, so we've got plenty of opportunity there to extend this resource through drilling, which is exactly what we plan to do. As I mentioned earlier, we've been working through the process of permitting this project, and I expect to receive that permit in the near term. We'll announce that, of course, and then we'll move on to mobilising the drilling. The drill plan has been planned. We've had geos on site for a number of months now, and so looking forward to getting on with the actual work and getting the drill bit turned over there. The licence to the north boundary also mined historically around about 100 to 200,000 ounces of gold, and at recovered grades of up to 9 ounces a tonne, again reflecting the very high grade nature of this system. Now, the mining stopped there in the early 1900s. It didn't stop because the supply of gold had been exhausted. It stopped at the time because of the Mexican Revolution, and the Mexican Revolution changed land ownership rights, so essentially the people who were mining there at that time lost their tenure. and they've sat there ever since until the gold market that we're in now, where interest has popped up again in this area, in this system. In addition to our core focus of copper and gold, we also have a legacy graphite project, which is also located in Australia, down near Esperance. With the graphite markets resurgent at the moment, primarily driven by graphite for anodes, we are looking to assess and create value out of this legacy asset for the company and our shareholders. Previous met work that was done on this identified that it's a very fine flake, very platy, natural flake graphite, which is potentially ideal as feedstock for anode precursor material. What we're doing at the moment is we're doing follow-on met work to create a bulk sample of graphite concentrate. We previously produced graphite concentrate for initial met test work in Australia, and it came through at a grade of around about 97% purity, with recoveries of 92.5%, which is huge recoveries. It's also a very high-grade concentrate. If you consider that the industry benchmark for feedstock input into anode production, the aim is 92 to 94% graphite, having a 97% graphite project, which also has very low and deleterious items in the gangue material, makes it potentially a good feedstock into anode production. The bulk con that we're producing at the moment will be sent to Germany for specialist testing in purification, micronisation and spheronisation, which are the three processes the graphite undergoes to create anode grade material. And should those tests come back favourable, and certainly the indicators we have so far about the graphite gives us some confidence in that, then we'll obviously have something here that has some economic value, and we'll be looking to figure out ways to realise that value for the company and the shareholders. The final test results there are expected in Q3 this year, and so I'll be looking forward to putting that announcement out to the market. Looking at the work streams moving forward, as I mentioned at Barraba, we've completed the initial aerial geophysics program. Results, that'll be coming out soon, and then we'll mobilise probably in about 6 weeks up to site for the follow-on ground geophysics program with the aim to identify drill targets and then obviously move on to drilling later in the year, possibly around Q4. Santa Teresa, as I mentioned, we've been doing, actually I didn't mention this, we've been doing reassaying historical core from prior drill programs. We'll have a press release coming out on that soon. Also, we've been working on the permitting, which I mentioned. Hope to have that permit in hand soon, and therefore we'll be moving on with the commencement of the initial drilling program, likely in Q3, but possibly late Q2. Springdale, as I just discussed, working through the met work there, and results pending on that coming out in Q3. And then Northern Territory, first of all, we're aiming to complete this option agreement that we're engaged in at the moment, bring those assets in-house, and then we'll be getting on the ground up there late Q2, I would imagine, for our first field visit. So a lot happening. Just summing up here then, again, we've got multiple projects on the go. We're into the exploration phase now, with last year having been primarily a project acquisition and financing exercise. Earlier this year, we've been moving through the phases of initial geophysics or initial exploration programs on our New South Wales project and getting the permitting done in Mexico. Those have been achieved, and hopefully the permitting will be achieved shortly in Mexico. So we'll be moving forward to drilling over there and moving forward with further exploration works on the copper projects in Australia. And then again, we have the wild card of the value that's potentially to be generated from the graphite project. So a lot going on. We're cashed up, don't need to raise money. We've got a low EV, a low market cap at the moment, and a lot of catalysts coming. So if you're interested in the type of commodities that we're looking at, I encourage you to have a look at our shares because they're cheap at the moment. And if we get success on any one of these ventures, I would expect a significant re-rate. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you enjoy the balance of the conference.
Thank you, Matthew. Tim Harrison is the manager